there's one thing I'm really, really good at, it's absolutely depleting my battery in my 12 volt system really quickly. So today, I'm going to show you how I'm going to double the charge speed of it. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time here, thank you for watching. And if you have been here before and you like what we're doing, pop a subscribe and it would really help us out. Okay, let's get into the episode. So today what we're doing is we're gonna double the charging capacity of the Cruiser. Now, when we were on Fraser there last month, we'd be out and about, during the day, solar would be in, we'd be driving, but at night time, we'd run the Starlink, we'd run an induction cooker because there's no fires on Fraser, so we'd induction cooktop every night. We're running 2 fridges, and running the lights and everything else that comes with that. And we'd wake up in the morning to maybe 15 or 20% battery charge. Now, we've got an EnerDrive 300 amp hour slimline battery in there, the lithium ones, and it's a big battery. We're just really, really heavy on the 12 volt consumption, which I know, just be better with it is what you're all saying, Richo, but I want to use this stuff. I'm out there, I've got it, I want to use it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a second DC to DC charger in. Now what that's going to do is that's going to allow us to take the charge from what is like 42, 43 amps at best from the car to the charger at the minute. A second one will double that, so we should be at 80 or 90 amps an hour. So even at 15 or 10% battery charge from the EnerDrive, we should be able to go to 100% within 3 hours, say. But it does come at a price because the existing factory alternator that's in the Cruiser isn't going to put out enough amps to drive both of them, so we've had to get an upgraded alternator. So we went to Outback Equipment and we've got a 220 amp output alternator. It was the biggest one I could find, and we're going to whack that in and we're going to whack the DC to DC in. So today's plan is first of all put the new alternator in. I've never done an alternator before, so that's going to be an experience. We've got to upgrade all the cables because obviously there's more amperage coming out. And then with the DC to DC, we've got to run a second feed from the car battery into the Canopy, along with all the breakers and fuses and lugs and everything else that we're going to do. So we've got a big day coming up. Let's get into it. The first thing we're going to have to do clearly is take the old alternator out. It's right down in here somewhere, so we're going to have to take bash plates off and stuff. The good thing about putting the alternator in now is this alternator, the factory one, is absolutely perfect. So 2 things are going to happen here. One is I'm going to learn how to change the alternator, because if this ever breaks down out in the bush, I'm going to know how to fix it. And secondly, this one that I'm taking out is perfectly good, so I will keep that as a spare and take it with me on said trip to the bush. So if everything happens, I'll put this one back in again. It's a win-win. Why are we even upgrading the alternator when we're just putting a second charger in? Because the charger will need more current from the battery and the alternator will then need to work harder. Now the one that comes from the factory is about 150 amp hours, I think. This one's 220, so it's going to output a lot more amps. So it's not going to be struggling to produce the sort of power that will be demanded of it now between 2 DC to DC chargers and the normal car cranking stuff. And also, when we run the winch or when we run the air compressor, which are all fed from the cranking battery, the alternator will feed it faster too. So all round it's going to be a lot better. Downsides to the bigger alternator, as far as I can see from my research, is it will run hotter when you're demanding more for it. So we probably have to just watch the temperature off it a little bit more if we really are stressing it out a lot. But aside from that, look, I don't think there's too many downsides. It will give me definitely more power. It looks to be, from what I can see, there's 4 bolts that go into it. The serpentine belt goes on the front here. That's what drives it. So it's like a big dynamo. That's what creates the power. And there should be somewhere, there's an earth bleed, and then this is our positive. Yeah, so that's where our existing loom plugs into, and then there should be a positive. Is there a positive somewhere where I'll work it out. All right, I think I've procrastinated enough. I'm gonna get down here and rip the old alternator out, and then we'll work on where the new one goes.
Many unbearable hours later.
I tried to get a camera in there to show you how to take the alternator out, but basically this is the factory alternator. The main switch panel, or the wiring loom, comes in here, and then this cable comes in here. So I've just taken those 2 off, and that's the alternator out. So what I've got to try and work out now is the positive cable, that the new one that we bought, where that goes. I'm pretty sure it goes onto this. I'm pretty sure that's the positive out, because the negative, it'll be earthed to the chassis anyway. So that being said, I'm hoping it's a reasonably straightforward fix swap. But if we look at the old and the new, so this one is a little bit thicker, but it's not stupidly thicker. The big problem we had was when we got these 5 bolts out, which were kind of, as Jetta would say, you I needed the hands of a 4-year-old to get in through places. Getting the bolts out wasn't too shabby, but the biggest problem we had was actually getting the alternator out from the diff. So we ended up having to jack the front of the car up on one of the recovery points, the factory recovery point, just so we could drop the diff down so we could get the alternator out in behind it. So yeah, not something I've ever done before, and certainly if this packs up and out in the bush, it's going to be a lot trickier than I thought it was to replace them. We would definitely need a jack to lift the car up so that diff will drop to let us get the alternator out. But if you guys know any better way to do it, should we have gone in from the top and taken the air intake off? That might have been better, but drop a comment below and let us know how we should do the alternator better. But anyway, they're both sitting there, so it's time to put the new one in. So that's a 200 amp fuse?
250.
250 amp fuse.
Mega fuse.
Mega fuse.
Gee, I hope it fits.
That's what she said.
How many electricians does it take to tighten a nut?
Excuse me?
What we might do now is connect up the negative and we'll turn it on and see how it goes. Let's just turn the car on and see if we get... Oh! Let me take it out of... Let me take it out of gear first, eh? Yeah, let's try that again.
We got power, baby!
The alternator's in. George and Ando have tested it. It's all working as it should. So now we're going to move on to the DC to DC. So the first thing we're going to do is put the two new 6-gauge positive and negative cables through a 70 amp breaker from the battery under the car and up to the back of the tray. And then we're going to tackle putting the rest of it into the canopy. But the first thing we're going to do is run the cable to the back. It's another new day. We didn't get finished yesterday. I probably didn't film yesterday as much as I could just because of where the alternator was, and everything we were doing was up under the car and it's quite tricky to film, but I will take you through this morning what we've done. We've finished the car, it is done. So the alternator's in, it's working beautifully. We put the second feed from the crank battery through the engine under the car, and we brought it out here. That's the feed for the second DC to DC. So that's all in. So I'll just show you kind of where that all is. We put a 70 amp circuit breaker at the battery end. We're done. So what we're going to do today is get into the canopy, and that's all about putting the second DC to DC in, wiring it up into the Voyager and punching out a couple more holes in the canopy to plug it into this, and then see finally the results. So right, let me just show you what I've done here. We have run 6-gauge cable, a twin cable from the battery via 70 amp circuit breaker under the chassis of the car and up behind the cab with an Anderson plug on the end of it. And that's what we're going to plug into the second DC to DC. So today's about the DC to DC. So this is the exact same unit as already in the Voyager system. So the Voyager system, I don't know if I've explained what it is. There's a video that we did when we got this about a year ago, but it's basically an all-in-one unit from Enerdrive. It's got all sorts of monitoring. It's got a 3000 watt inverter, which is also a 100 amp hour charger from Shore Power. And it's got this DC to DC 40 plus charger in it as well. Along with another, it's got an MPPT for the solar and all that sort of stuff. So it does absolutely everything. It's pre-wired, it's got switching, it's got the GPOs, fuse box, it's an amazing unit. If you're looking at a 12 volt unit, that's the one. I will never have a different one. It's been amazing. And it's going to be even more amazing now with this in it. We're going to take the cover off. We're going to work out, first of all, where we're going to mount this, and then we'll start running the cables. So just planning where all the cables go. I picked another one up of these from J-Car yesterday, but have a look at the difference in the color. This one, they've definitely faded a bit over time, but anyway, I think I'm going to whack it there. I don't think there's the go. There maybe, but it's going to be further away to plug it in, so I'm just going to put it right beside the original one and then put our cables up into it and then start running them into where the DC to DC is going to sit. With the DC to DC mounted, this is the cables that come from the cranking battery, which I will eventually put an Anderson on the end and plug it into the one that we did earlier. So I'm just going to silicone these holes up so these don't move, and this will go up here with a bit of silicone too. And we'll let that dry while we continue wiring the DC to DC into the Voyager. Done. That is everything connected up. Well, it's not. I haven't connected the new DC to DC yet. I've left that unplugged because what I want to do is a test. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start the car. I'm going to check. We're at 89%, 88%, so we should get a good representation as to what a charge would be. So I'm going to start the car and I'm going to see how much charge comes in from one DC to DC, and then I'll plug the second one in and see what difference that makes. So one DC to DC is putting in 42 amps at the minute, and that's going to take 52 minutes to get the fully charged, which is 11%. So what I'll do now, I'm just going to plug the second DC to DC in and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Right, so the one DC number one is putting in 25 amps. We're now getting 60 amps into the house battery, and we're losing 5 amps through the fridge and through whatever other loads we have. At idle, we're putting in now 60 amps, so that's pretty cool. I'm just going to go and turn the idle up and see what difference that makes. All right, idle up, 80 amps. Woohoo! Is top figure. That's the amps that we're putting in. And that's one DC, and the second DC is registering at the top. So we're now putting in 80 amps. It says now 28 minutes to full charge. So that's half what we had. There we go. We're done. That was such a successful thing to do. So what we've done today, to recap, put in the new 220 amp alternator and then a second feed from the battery with the alternator in play to the second DC to DC. And now we're getting up to, well, potentially up to 90 or 100 amps even of charge. I'd say realistically that'll be at 90 at best. 80 was just while we're idling. That's really cool. I'm really happy with that. So what that means is now we can use whatever 12 volt we want. We can induction cook if we're on Fraser or somewhere. We're going to Morton in a couple of weeks. I don't know if there's going to be a fire ban there. I really hope not. But if there is, we can do all the induction cooking we want, and we can just charge it back up tomorrow morning. And obviously we've got solar too, and if we need to, we can put the solar blanket out. So the Voyager has just been supercharged. And it was a weapon, and now it's an absolute weapon. So anyway, we're done. Thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.